Okay. Trying to get an idea of you tell me what you think. Because there's so much of this coming at us from so many different angles. So now that there are so many press outlets doing the whole thing of Joe Biden needs to have his brains tested kind of thing. Like, where did this suddenly come from that suddenly people are talking about it? Where did this suddenly come from? And so I started thinking about, like, the way that Ukraine is happening, and that you even have the Ukrainians saying, like, what are you talking about? Where are all these forces? Embassies are being emptied. That's not cheap, dealing with all of that. That upsets, a lot of rich people with a cush job. They don't like that. So suddenly there's a turn on Biden, and the developments in Ukraine, I don't think I think that a whole bunch of Democrats are like, we got to get out of this somehow. We got to get out of this. They're like, this isn't not going to happen. Something is going to go wrong, and we're not going to be able to do anything to Russia. Ukraine doesn't seem to be down with this at all. And then there's a whole realm of kind of people who are international in nature. Like they basically either have dualies, or they're the international business set. Because this is my theory right now about sort of anything that's now coming up that's kind of a negative for the Biden administration. I think more and more, have you noticed how they're not really explosively super right-wing. It's like suddenly there's like these very sober criticisms in writing. To me, that is the educated class. That's the educated class that they could still pay their mortgage, and in a way, these are people moderate enough that they don't they don't really they're not extreme. I mean, like, they have kids, they have a very well-paying job, they just simply are in no way extreme. They may be like they're the kind of people who it's those like hot topic punk rock bands are what was their rebellious music. Blink 182 was rebellious music to them, on and on and on and on and on. These are not outrageous, extreme people. Not to say they're boring, it's just that they did what you do in our kind of society. Is that dang it, I'm trying to do something here. Just want to check, see if my back pocket's good. Okay, good. What you do in our society, where you hold off on kind of the fun, until you're older, and you work really hard, and then when you're older, you don't have to work. That promise, those people are actually starting to, I think, let it be known what they want out of the administration, or I think they're stuck because they're not extremists in any way. So when they hear like this idea of all these, then this person would go down for this and this person would go down for that, and trust the plan, anons and all this business, these are not people who, they don't know anything about that stuff. They just are sitting there going, well, no, but if we 25th him, then it's Harris, and none of us wanted to vote for her either. But they're not even going to say that out loud. They're the class of people who are too polite to say that out loud. They're too. The way that they would do it politely is say, "I wanted Tulsi," is what they would say. That would be the polite way of putting it. These two losers in office right now. I didn't vote for these two crooks. And so I've been thinking a lot of this negative news that suddenly is so well written, where even CNN is turning on Joe Biden, that this is coming from the educated Democratic class, and that this is now the stage at which the crooks in the party, that because there's so many crooks making money off of their various ways that they kind of make money off stuff, there's no unity, there's no allies when you're crooks. So now they're leaving Joe and Harris up to see what they're putting them in the wind. They're like, nope, we're going to make you look bad. We're going to write bad articles about you now. It's that some, they're all looking out for each other, themselves now. They're all looking out for themselves. All the different factions within the Democratic Party are now at the stage that they played out their game, and that they have to look out for their faction and kind of the power that their faction holds, like the New York Democrats, the Chicago Democratic cluster, San Francisco, Berkeley kind of Democratic cluster. Now they're going to have to all eat each other alive or unite against some other cluster. And because they do have different interests. The different coasts have very different interests. The Midwest Democrats have very different interests in the coastals. This is kind of neat. This is kind of neat to see, because they've set it up so that, well, all the right, the Republicans, Christians, anybody who is not Democrat, now are left like their back is to the gate of the gulag. They saw these people were going to gulag them, and now they're like, okay. Well, and so now they have a purpose. The one of the hardest things about the whole idea of like the conservative or something, that's a hard purpose. Keep things as they are. Thank you. And then, like, you know, some old person says this and then dies, and the relatively young conservative then has to like be like, okay, keep things as they are. All right, you know, and that's a hard thing to think of as a purpose. To really put something behind, effort behind that, to have your heart into that. That's yeah. Unless there's something like a lifestyle. And so that's then the critique of lifestyle that you get so much from the left. This then critique of the lifestyle of people who do things in the way they pretty much always have. They just do things the way they do, where they live. What the fuck? Peace. Some dude doing something weird. And so I like... But so that critique of lifestyle, like, oh, the heroes of a story should be heroic and kind of follow the story arc that has existed in that line of stories, things like that. Like, you know, but why would you want something that is coherent? Because coherence would be something like old-fashioned and conservative, and, you know, no, incoherent storytelling. That's real art. It's like the Dadaism of script writing, you know, and that's what you're getting with the Star Wars franchises and shit, apparently. So, and apparently Lord of the Rings too. So, I'm thinking that there's I'm thinking that there's fundamentally a part of sort of democratic political culture that now is pretty done with the Biden administration, and I think it has a lot to do with the possibility of war. And there's no support for it. And I like actually now how there's people walking around the streets of Russia asking, do you think there's going to be a war? And they're like, no. Would you fight in it? No. He goes, why wouldn't? Well, what? You know, they're acting like it's kind of not a silly question, but more like it's a little crazy. Like that's kind of a crazy question to ask. Like, why would we go to war with Ukraine? Why would we be at war with Ukraine? Stuff like that. They're our friends, I know Ukrainians, that kind of thing. It'd be like, why do you want to go to war with Mexico about the burgeoning, invasion of Mexico, or something like that, so I did, yeah. So that's just a thought. See, I'm kind of wondering what some of you were thinking, because it's kind of fascinating to see the press suddenly turn like this so quickly, and then also the alliance that's happening of like French, British, like loosely some of NATO. Like it's not really, like NATO's not really all in on it. Britain for some reason is in all. They're like, yeah, you fuck Russia, yeah, and France is like, well, maybe we need to fuck Russia, and everybody else is kind of like, are you crazy? This is Russia, and we live here, and like, how you all need to deal with your issues, and so yeah, I'm kind of fascinated. Hit me up and tell me what you think is kind of going on, because are sources that you are finding particularly useful. All right, later.